Good morning again.
Good morning.
Is there anybody in this world who is truly happy? There was a Peanuts cartoon years ago in which Lucy asked Charlie Brown if he has ever known anyone who was really happy. Before she could finish her sentence, however, Snoopy came dancing out on his tiptoes across the frame, his nose held high in the air. He danced and bounced his way across 2 frames of the cartoon strip. Finally, in the last frame, Lucy finished her sentence. Have you ever known anybody who was really happy and still in their right mind? Some years back, the editors of Psychology Today sent questionnaires to 52,000 subscribers in an effort to determine what makes people happy. The response was somewhat confusing. One subscriber wrote back and asked to see the results of the survey. I think I'm happy. He wrote, would you please verify it? I apologize. That great thinker, Samuel Johnson, once wrote a story entitled Rasselas, in which the main character, an Abyssinian prince, lived on a mountaintop in peace and luxury. But he became dissatisfied with his walled-in existence and finally ventured out into the world to search for those persons who are altogether happy. To his surprise, he discovered that no such person exists in the entire world. He returned disillusioned to his home in Abyssinia. Is anyone in this world truly happy? Certainly we know that many people are unhappy. In the United States, 117 people, including 20 to 22 veterans, commit suicide every day, and another 2,900 try it. That's over 1 million people every year who are unhappy enough to try to snuff out their own existence. Put another way, in your lifetime, 78 million people in this country will attempt to end their lives. And the suicide rate is increasing the fastest among our young people, nearly 300% among those 15 to 24 in the last 20 years. Is there anybody who's really happy? As you know, many modern translators of the New Testament translate Jesus' teachings, known as the Beatitudes, in this way. Happy are the poor in spirit. Happy are those who mourn. Happy are the meek. Happy are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness. Robert Schuller even went as far as to call them the Be Happy attitudes. If Jesus did indeed mean these teachings to be avenues to happiness, we need to know about that. We need to know about them, understand them, and make them our own. They seem to be so out of touch with what we consider to be happiness. Happy are the merciful. Happy are the pure in heart. Happy are the peacemakers. Happy are those who are persecuted for the righteousness' sake. Jesus seems to go out of his way to turn our entire system of values upside down. What does he mean, happy are the poor in spirit? We don't want to be poor in anything. Happy are those who mourn. That seems a little contradictory. Happy are the meek. Just when you and I are happy to be signed up for assertiveness training. Happy are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness. Maybe so, but then they aren't going to be very popular. Happy are the merciful. Not me. I want revenge. Happy are the pure in heart. Jesus clearly never saw any HBO series. Happy are the peacemakers. Jesus obviously never sat across the table from the North Koreans. Happy are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake. Who wants to be persecuted? What is Jesus seeking to communicate to us about the nature of happiness in the Beatitudes? I think we should notice, first of all, that happiness does not consist in the pursuit of pleasure. The preachers of the gospel of health, wealth, and prosperity are wrong. Happiness does not depend on your status or what you own. An ad appeared recently in USA Today for the BMW. The ads began like this: "Needless to say, you can't buy happiness, but for a mere $4.99 a month, you can lease exhilaration. Simply visit your authorized BMW dealer and lease a new BMW 428i for $4.99 a month." After extolling the virtues of BMW, the ad concludes like this: "For a program of spiritual uplift on easy monthly terms, we recommend you visit a participating BMW dealer." Really? A program of spiritual uplift on easy monthly terms. Father Louis Everly, a noted Belgian theologian, priest and writer, says that so many people never find happiness because they don't know where to look for it. Too many people make the mistake of seeking one more material thing, one more pay raise, one more promotion, one more problem solved, one more handicap overcome. If only I had that, they would often say, I would be happy. Too late, they learn that happiness does not come from the outside, but from within. Howard Hughes was one of the wealthiest men who ever lived, but he could not buy contentment or peace of mind. That is the first thing that is evident as we view the Beatitudes. Happiness is not synonymous with the pursuit of pleasure. We ought also note that neither is happiness found in the avoidance of pain. This is a more subtle truth, but it is equally as important. When LeBaron Briggs was the academic dean at Harvard, a graduate student came to his office to explain why he failed to complete his master's thesis on time. The student told him, "I haven't been feeling well." Dean Briggs replied, "Young man, I think it's time you realize that most of the work done in this world is done by people who aren't feeling well." Many of us do everything in our power to go through life avoiding the situation that is potentially uncomfortable or unpleasant. Many wives will not stand up to their overbearing, even abusive husbands because they don't want to rock the boat. Many people fail in business because they cannot make themselves pick up the phone and straighten out a bad situation. Some of us will go to extraordinary lengths not to offend anybody. We don't want the unpleasantness in our lives. We want everybody to like us, and we will sacrifice even our own self-respect and our witness for Christ in order to not ruffle any feathers. Then we come to Christ's words. "Happy are you when men revile you and persecute you and utter all kinds of evil against you falsely on my account." Christ is not talking about people who are deliberately obnoxious. He's talking about people who realize that if you have to make a choice between being liked and being respected, choose respect every time. You will stand taller in your own eyes, in your neighbor's eyes, and in God's eyes. Happiness is not the pursuit of pleasure or the avoidance of pain. When then is happiness to be found? First of all, happiness is found in a purposeful living. In these simple sayings about blessedness or happiness, Jesus is really giving us a picture of a very special kind of people. They are humble, obedient to God. That is what meekness means. People who know what it is to face adversity. But they are also peacemakers. They are people who so threaten the established order of things that they are persecuted. They are not the passive pious, but the completely committed. Such a sense of purpose about life, Jesus would have us know, is essential to real happiness. In his book, Anatomy of an Illness, Norman Cousins tells a revealing story about Pablo Casals, the great cellist. Cousins describes meeting Casals shortly before his 90th birthday. It was almost painful for Cousins to watch the old man dress. Arthritis, emphysema, the frailty of his advanced years had taken their toll. The hands swollen, the fingers clenched. How could a man in such condition ever hope to play his beloved music again? And yet, even before eating, Casals made his way slowly and with much difficulty to his piano. There, like a miracle, took place right before Norman Cousin's eyes. As he described it, the fingers slowly unlocked and reached toward the keys like the buds of a plant toward sunlight. Casals' back straightened. He seemed to breathe more freely. He began with a number by Bach, which he played with a sensitivity and control that would have been the envy of a young and agile pianist. Then he launched into Brahms' concerto, and his fingers seemed to race above the keyboard. His entire body seemed fused with music, Cousins wrote. It was no longer stiff and shrunken, but supple and graceful and completely freed of its arthritic coils. By the time he walked away from the piano, he seemed to be an entirely different person from the tired old man who struggled out of bed and into his clothes. He stood straighter and taller. He immediately walked to the breakfast table, ate heartily, and then went out for a stroll on the beach. That's the power of purposeful living. J. Wallace Hamilton told us about a young soldier in the Civil War who got sick on the battlefield and was taken to a hospital tent. Lying on a cot, he pleaded with the doctor, "Oh, doctor, don't tell me I'm not fit for duty. Don't tell me I can't go back. It's only a touch of fever, doc, and the sound of the bugle will make me well again." The sense of uselessness, says Thomas Huxley, is the severest shock to our system. It is the severest shock which our system can sustain. Conversely, when we have a great purpose to live for, a purpose that is high and noble, our whole being is enhanced. That is the first conclusion about happiness which we can derive from the teachings of our Lord. Happiness is found in giving ourselves to a high and noble purpose. The second is that happiness is found in being people-oriented. Indeed, such terms as meekness and mercifulness and pure in heart suggest a willingness to subordinate our desires to the well-being of others. Please do not misunderstand. We are not talking about becoming a doormat for others to trample upon. There was a time, however, when Christians believed that joy was spelled Jesus first, others second, yourself last. Somehow that order has been reversed. Many of you may remember the cartoon strip Kathy. Once there was quite an impressive conversation between Kathy and her best friend Andrea. Kathy said, "When I was little, I put my own needs first, and everyone said I was being selfish and inconsiderate. Now everyone says I'm supposed to put my own needs first." Andrea answers, "That's right, Kathy. Putting your own needs first is one of the most important things you can do to maintain your self-respect." Kathy looks very sad as she asks, "How can I have any self-respect if I'm being selfish and inconsiderate?" Kathy hit the nail right on the head. Christ has been rightfully called the man for others. If we cannot become men and women for others as well, we cannot hope to extend the influence of his kingdom. Besides, the Barbra Streisand song of the 60s is right. People who need people are the luckiest people in the world. They live longer and are healthier and happier. The philosopher who said that hell is other people did not have the love of Christ in his heart. Happiness is being people-oriented. In the third place, happiness is to be found in a passion for God. The great evangelist, missionary, and writer E. Stanley Jones counted himself to be one of the happiest people alive. He once wrote, "I gasp in surprise and wonder. Life is working, and working with rhythm and joy. How did it all happen?" I asked myself that question as I sat in a hotel room in Alaska writing. I looked up, I saw myself in the looking glass, and I said to myself, Stanley Jones, you are a very happy man, aren't you? And I replied, yes, I am. And then the vital question, how did you get to be this way? And my reply, I don't know. It is all a surprise to me, a growing surprise. I walked across a field one day. I stubbed my toe against the edge of a treasure chest jutting out of the earth. It's treasure, I cried. I ran off and sold all I had, including myself, and bought that field. And I have been hugging myself ever since that I had the sense to do it. That treasure, of course, was E. Stanley Jones' commitment to Christ. Find a humble person with a pure heart, a purpose for living, a love for people, and a commitment to God, and you will find a happy man or woman. Though that person may have suffered unimaginable ills, he or she will have a peace and confidence that nothing in this world can defeat. Do you want to be happy? Really happy? There is a formula. It's not found in pursuing pleasure or avoiding pain. It is found in having something great to live for, in loving other people, and in putting God first in your life. Please pray with me. Good and merciful God, your gifts to us are deep, wide, and unfathomable. The gift of unconditional love exemplified by a cruel cross and an empty tomb, it is a gift that we cannot fully understand and can only partially appropriate in our lives. Yet it is the gift that draws us to serve both you and one another, that calls us to live selflessly rather than selfishly, that motivates us to live for the kingdom of God rather than for the kingdoms of this earth. You have given so much for all you have given us in the gospel, and we are sobered by the responsibilities to share your message of peace, hope, joy, and love to a world that is hurting and in need. Yet you have shown us that this is the path to true happiness. Thank you for showing the way. Amen.